Hey guys, so the overview, the meat and potatoes, if you will, of the expansion. Obviously, we know there's new dungeons and raids. Oh, but we always look forward to the new zones, new areas that we get to go to, get to see the art team, uh, and everyone associated with them really flexing their artistic chops. Um, And I always look forward to seeing the new zones because no matter what you think of the story, the zones are always on point. They are always gorgeous, as you know, dreary, like Maldraxxus and stuff like that is. But when you actually stop and look around and think that, for the image that they're trying to give to this certain area, they blew it away. I mean, because Maldraxxus looks that way for a reason. Dreary and gross looking, and but that's what they envisioned for that area, and they blew it away. The fact that you try to stay away from some areas simply because of the way they look, that's just that's the art team. That's the those teams doing that. Um, but new areas, new features, everything, every new expansion introduce some kind of feature where it's like, oh, here's this you have to carry around, or like the Covenant abilities and Shadowlands, or whatever it may be. But here is the War Within features overview.
My visions are not the same as the others. No radiance, no song. Just the shadow taunting me from below. The fate of our world rests upon the edge of a knife. And our battle lies deep within.
Okay, so first off, the Mad Lads finally did it. They finally did it. This is, if this is where I think it's supposed to be, that means they're revisiting things that they wanted to do and just didn't do the first time. So, Ajkahet, as you can tell, Nerubian in nature. So when Wrath of the Lich King was being developed, they wanted to put the Nerubian kingdom in there. And the Nerubian kingdom is so big, it expands the the entirety of Northrend. That's why if you're over there in Borean Tundra, you go underground, you see some Nerubian stuff over there, and Howling Fjord, you go over there, it expands throughout. Whether you're in Ice Crown, remember when we're doing the Argent tournament, what happens? Arthas comes in, and we get sent down. We see ruins there, and we're so the entire continent of Northrend. There's these, and the dungeons, Zul'Narub and Ankahet, those were supposed to be zones. And even though you really can't see any of it because you're ground level and everything's so high up, and everything's so vertically impaired, uh, there's so much detail that we never get to see because, they were basically just slices of what was already built. But the fact that we're going underground to the Nerubian Kingdom uh, is really, really cool. Nerubians are interesting race, to say the least. Isle of Dorn. Isle of Dorn. It's ringing deeps. So this is clearly underground. Cascading waterfalls and lush greenery. And I mean, look at that. This is not something you'd expect to see underground. Got this little cute little thing over here. Hallowfall, which is kind of interesting because there's clearly something in the sky. Like, is this looks like a wound. Is this Azeroth, like inside Azeroth itself? Like almost at the core? Like where her soul is? Because this looks like it's corruption from the sword. But why would it look like this if it's the sword? I don't remember the sword looking like that. Unless this was their way of kind of like purifying it and making it become more like a light source, because we did take away the corruption from it. Dive into delves. Dive into delves. We delved into it, so dive into. It just looks like a PvP type thing. Forge your warband. I don't know. I hope this isn't going to be like Garrison crap. Master hero talents. Don't we have those in like, every game essentially with, talents that we use that only heroes can use? I mean, is it going to be like another Covenant type thing? It's like, oh yeah, level up with this, gain rep with them, and now you can use that. Or is this going to be something that we start with, that we pick a hero talent, and then that's what we get throughout, and we level that up? It doesn't really, give much explanation. It just shows them coming out blasting things. But at least we get another allied race. Oh, so okay, so we got Invincible. Just the dynamic flight, it just looks so weird. If they have legs, it just looks weird. Now we saw Alar zooming through, and with Ashes of Alar, it looks natural. But honestly, just take a look at it when it happens. It looks so unnatural when it comes to things with arms and legs. Or rather, like that, because the dragons that we ride in Dragon Isles, they're kind of built for that kind of mobility. When they're flying, they can kind of arms kind of under them, and they're very like, ooh. I'm not saying they're noodle arms, but they're meant to be aerodynamic. Unlike a horse, who have got these long, not very bendy arms and appendages, so they just kind of like stay down and just kind of like flop in the breeze, whereas the dragons can like at least underneath them. Same thing with the birds. Birds got that they can underneath them. So yeah, when they have the joints like that, they can kind of put them underneath, but it's just for some reason the horse didn't seem to want to do that. It just looks weird. New raids and dungeons, of course. I'd be concerned if we didn't have a raider dungeon, and Illyria. So, what is her purpose? So we know Anduin and Thrall are going to be a main part of this. Why Illyria? Is it because of the Void? I mean, clearly. I mean, wait. We're not fighting a Ridicron, are we? We're fighting Farok in the next patch. Is there going to? Is this supposed to be the? Is that the final patch? Like, are we not fighting a Ridicron? We must not because. Okay, so this. It's either some vision that she's having of herself as like a Void Empress, or this is our favorite Naifu, who's not a Naifu anymore, who's actually a waifu now because she escaped the knife. So we know that Iridikron is working with Xalatath. Here's oh, can't so we know that Iridikron was going after Galakron to or his corpse in the past to kind of suck out all the hungering void that he had. Um, and also it's okay, so here's the part of the story I'm trying to figure out then. So it's clearly either Xalatath or Illyria, but they're in Ajkahet. So what is in this city, this kingdom that is so important, especially for them right now? And you can see the writing, like the either what is it, Nerubian or Old God writing, like with the symbols and stuff. Um, you can see it right there. And I know Void corrupts, but we've seen Illyria's like Void form. This is like Xalatath color. All right, so here's our favorite knife foo. You can see it's the same colors, that same purpley, like natural purple, kind of like a night elf almost. But then when you take notice, the hair, stuff like that, and we go back here, the same hair, like the same type of hair in front of the face, kind of the right there. Now her eyes before were like bluish, but I think she's void infused now. So we might be looking at the final boss of the expansion right here. Because Xalatath is already either part of an old god or an old god, or just something. She's old god related. She's connected to the old gods. So what we're seeing, I think, is a void infused uh Xalatath. Um and Xalatath is supposed to be like the harbinger of the void. So naturally she would have to be extremely powerful. Um so I think we're seeing a void infused Xalatath. I think she's consumed the essence from here, this void. And she's not near powerful as an old god, but she as a harbinger is where she should be, because what Iridikron got from Galakrond was like a drop in the bucket, void wise. So even with her consuming that, it did boost her incredibly, and she is incredibly strong, but it's still not the same as consuming, say, something else like a void being itself. So whatever Galakrond had, it was just a little tiny piece, and that's why Iridikron wanted it. But if this is indeed Xalatath, I hope she doesn't hate us. I mean, we're gonna have to fight her, which is sad because it seemed like she liked us. You know, we helped her escape, and I think she liked us, but even that she's still a part of an old god or an old god herself, or like a weakened old god. Um, I know, like I said, she's a harbinger of old gods. Maybe they didn't like her as an old god and they split her apart. And instead, it's like, instead of being an old god, you'll be our harbinger. You'll be the one to kind of usher in our, rebirth into the world and stuff like that. Um, but I also like the regal look she's got. She's got like the Aelthis thing going on instead of verdant spheres. She's got void, like a void infused spheres, and very grandiose pauldron type thing going on. Got these gold chains that have her cape like going through it, and it's almost like when royalty walks in and you're like holding up their capes and all that so that it doesn't touch the ground. She's like this high and mighty, look at me kind of look, which we will kiss the ground that she walks on. I'm just saying, Xalatath doesn't have to worry about that. Um, but the tattoos and like I said, I think it is Xalatath because even Illyria, when she's in full void form, she just gets like darker, and like the on her face, they just darken up. So like if her skin was say this color, the markings on her face become like blue. Actually, hang on. Yeah, so this is what Illyria looks like when she's infused with void. You can see her her markings on her face are just darker. They don't disappear and become something completely different. As opposed to this and what we see with this. So I'm believing this is Xalatath, but infused with void. Because she's already a being of the void. So her appearance wouldn't change that much. She's got like old god void markings. And so I think what we're seeing is Xalatath. So she's got a huge role to play. We know Iridikron was working with her. When Iridikron was disappearing into his little void portal, we saw her standing on the side. So they're working together. She's finally got what she wanted. So which means she'll probably be the final boss, and Iridikron will probably be taken down. I mean, for Dragonflight, we're on the last patch now, aren't we? And we're fighting Farok. So Iridikron being as powerful as he is, it would make sense to have him as like the Gul'dan, where it's like, oh yeah, Iridikron, or rather in this case, Gul'dan. We meet him in, Draenor, and then Archimonde sends him into our reality, and then we take him out in the Nighthold. So, so having a big bad that you don't fight at the end, but rather the next expansion. That's what I wish they would have done with the Jailer. You have the guy who's death itself, and it's like, oh yeah, you beat him at the end. But then you have Gul'dan, and look how long it takes to kill him. So, but Iridikron, I'm sure will. Okay, I think either Iridikron will be taken out in one of the earlier raids, or he'll be like who we take out before we fight Xalatath. If that is indeed Xalatath, and we are indeed having to fight her, and she's indeed pretty much the last boss, the last big bad for the expansion, we're obviously going to take Iridikron out. So that's the way villains should be. Not just, oh yeah, here's this really cool, well-written villain, and then you take care of him like in a patch or two afterwards. No, they should be multi-expansion. I mean, she was introduced all the way back in Legion. We've had Legion, we've had BFA, um, Shadowlands, Dragonflight, and we're finally seeing the fruits of our labor yeah, all this come to fruition. We let her out, and here's what she's been doing. Also, Ajara. Where the hell is Ajara? We help liberate Ajara from, uh, Nyalotha, and then she's like, "Well, I'm gonna go travel the cosmos in my tentacly goodness and to find the true seat of power and blah blah blah." So where's my light of lights, my queen? Where are you, Ajara? We need you. No, but pretty cool that we're going to the Nerubian Kingdom. Um, Still want to know what Illyria has to do with this. Um, what the Nerubians have to do with this. What uh Zalatath has to do with this. Well, not has to do with it. We know Zalatath, she's void. Azeroth is, well, presumably light. I mean, I think Azeroth might be a combination of every, aspect of it, the life, death, order, fell, just everything, it seems. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. Uh, Very large and vast looking. Really gives a sense of scale and a sense of depth. It kind of shows you how deep we are in the earth, how large this kingdom is. I mean, because again, the Nerubian kingdom, the entirety of Northrend, from side to side, you go underground, you're gonna find ruins of, or not even ruins, you're gonna find structures belonging to the Nerubian kingdom. Um, so I'm interested to see what our favorite Naifu does, um, and some of these other things that they talk about, like dive into delves and what's up with that. Let's find out more about that. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. Um, I'm sure it'll grow on people, but I'm sure people, "Oh, this is, WoW is gonna die after." No, it's not. It's not. WoW is not dying. They've said that since Burning Crusade. WoW is dying. Here we are. Burning Crusade was what, 2006. We're now 2023. Yeah, WoW is dying, guys. It's this one for sure. Anyway, that's gonna do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.